Hello ladies, I wanted to pop on today for a couple minutes to talk about estrogen and everything that she's doing for you. This is really specifically going to be geared towards all my high performing career driven women. I mean, this will be beneficial for everybody really, but for those of you who feel like you're doing so much and you're feeling drained and depleted and just having a really hard time, just feeling good in your body, but really also putting all this time and effort into like your vision and your mission and the impact you want to make, and just feeling left, like you're struggling, like you're depleted. This is really going to be like a must know. So estrogen, at the end of the day, she's doing so much for you, but when it comes to your performance and your business, there's so many ways that she's helping you. And when you understand how to support her, you will really reap the benefits. Your business will notice the benefits. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is how estrogen is really your manifesting, your greatest money-making tool, but it really comes down to regulating these three things. So before I dive into the three things that you must regulate in order for her to really show up for you every single day, I'm going to explain a little bit about your cycle and what she's really doing for you behind the scenes. So estrogen, okay, so I'll start with the 4 phases of your cycle. You have your actual menses, like your period phase, and then you have the follicular phase, ovulation, and then the luteal phase. So estrogen, we have 3 different forms. There's estrone. She's the one that gets the reputation of being really problematic, because in the wrong environment, she becomes very inflammatory. And that can lead to a lot of different just hormonal chaos, different types of cancers. Once again, the environment that she's in makes a huge difference with how she's going to show up. And then there's estriol. We don't really hear much about her. She's more of like your protector, the buffer. So if either other forms of estrogen become just too much, too heightened for the body, she can really help to protect and to buffer their effects as well. And then the one that we typically love, estradiol, she's the one that we can really relate, just like having good energy and feeling good with, feeling really sharp and on the ball. So they all have a role. They all are there to support you. Estrone especially, she's there as like your backup. Like she's there to make sure that you don't get too low in estrogen, because estrogen is like detrimental for our cardiovascular health, for our brain function, our bones, like just so many things that we don't quite always understand to the full capacity. But like I said, when it comes to like running your business and your life, estrogen, especially estradiol, I mean, they all work in synergy together. What she's doing, when you think of like ovulation, she starts to ramp up from the time that you get your period up until ovulation, and that's where she gets her peak. And because of that, she reaches her peak, and then she releases an egg, and that's where ovulation comes in. But estradiol, this is where you get your energy. This is where you feel good. This is where you feel on the ball. The times and the days where like you're mentally sharp, you can think clearly, you're focused, there's no brain fog, you're performing all around. Like every single day, it feels like your rhythm, your routines are just flowing. You feel like you can perform so well in the gym. You're recovering after your workouts. This is estrogen. She's really coming into play, and at full force, she is driving your performance, especially around ovulation. She actually heightens different areas of your brain that actually highlight your verbal skills, your ability to articulate, to speak really well. She's behind the scenes, she's doing so much. So one of the main things she's doing is she's giving you energy. She's giving you not just energy, but she's the driving force behind that high level of performance, that high energy output. And then as I mentioned, estradiol, she is very rhythmic. She's the reason why we ovulate. So she gets to a peak, and because of that, she causes the body to release an egg. And because of ovulation, our body is now producing progesterone. Without progesterone, with too little progesterone, estrone can become problematic. This is why a lot of women in perimenopause and women in menopause start to see problems, is because there's now no more of that same level of progesterone, because ovulation either isn't happening or it's just not regular like it was before. Keep in mind, the 3 things we're going to talk about have a huge impact on if she becomes problematic. So as I mentioned, estradiol, one of your forms of estrogen, gets to a peak around ovulation, causing ovulation to occur. And then this is the procreation phase that we normally think about. But the thing is your body isn't just here to have babies and to procreate. You are here to breathe life into your goals, your dreams, and your desires. Your hormonal blueprint or rhythm is literally a blueprint to show you how to create in a way that you don't even fully understand. The same way that you don't understand how your body creates a baby. If I were to ask you what's happening during like the first, 10 weeks, you would have no idea, but your body is doing it. It has this deep level of knowing, this wisdom that we don't even fully understand. So anyways, I'll get more to that in a couple minutes. So as estrogen reaches its peak, she causes progesterone to release, which is very essential for estrogen to become stabilized and not problematic. But during that time, because of that peak in estrogen, our energy is now going inwards with progesterone taking over, and we can really truly tune in and connect to our inner wisdom, our intuition, in a way that we can't during the first half. Because during the first half, your energy is so high, your energy output is just impeccable, that you don't want to focus so much on going inward. So during the second half, when the time is there to go inward, you really strengthen that intuition if you allow yourself to, if you at least put in the right actions, the right rituals to do that. And then during that time is when you understand what the next best step is in your business. Every high performing one, at least every single one that I've worked with and the ones that I talk to and that I'm in contact with, there's an understanding that you are not the full creator in your life. You are the co-creator. You have divine forces, whether you want to call it God, universe, source, whatever it is that you feel connected to. You know that you don't want to be the one in full control, because the miracles, the magic wouldn't unfold the same way. So as a high performing woman, you know that you're not the one in full control, that there is a greater source around you that is guiding you. But to really tune into that guidance, to be able to hear the wisdom and to tap into that intuition, you really, during that second half of your cycle, during the luteal phase, you have to put it to work. You have to make that your priority. And then that really allows to drive you in your business with what the next step is. So estrogen, she's not just here to give you energy. She's not just here to drive you so that you can perform and be action oriented, but she's also here to help progesterone show up, to really heighten your intuition so that you can co-create and manifest in a way that really feels effortless, magical, and magnetic. The third thing that she's doing is she's having a huge impact on not just your memory, your ability to be able to remember all the things that you want to learn, the things that you want to teach, but also your mood. One of the things that women notice quickly when estrogen is dysregulated is that it's not just energy that isn't there. It's the mood. You feel flat, you feel unmotivated, you feel disconnected, not just to your body, but to your vision and your mission. So estrogen is playing behind the scenes a really big role, and not just, having brain fog not be an issue, and not having it so that you hop on a call or you enter a room and not remember why you were doing the things that you were doing, but she's there to keep you sharp, on the ball, and really, like I said, giving you the motivation and the drive to really want to do the things that you know you need to do, that you really crave and that you desire. So behind the scenes, she's doing so much for you. The three things that you have to regulate so that you can really allow her to shine and to guide you are simple. It's regulate your blood sugar levels, which I'll talk about later this week with how you can do this and the effect it has on your hormones. Also regulating cortisol. When your body has chronically elevated levels of cortisol, now this could be from inflammation from your diet, this can be from an injury, this can be from perceived stress. One of the things that I hear a lot of women when we're working together, one of the things they always say is they feel so overwhelmed that there's just so much on their plate with their work, just finances, their family life, their relationship with their partner. It's a lot of perceived stress, not being able to do it all. And this is where your cycle comes in and cycle syncing. It's, like I said, it's a blueprint. You're not meant to do everything all at once, but yes, you can do it all, just in different patterns and rhythms at different times of the month. So all in all, if you can regulate your cortisol, and there's different ways to do this, you'll find that estrogen is really happy, because at the end of the day, your body is not going to prioritize procreation, or essentially just co-creation, when your body is in survival mode. Your body will basically rob your ovaries of progesterone just to keep up with cortisol production. So it is really essential to keep cortisol balanced. And it's not that cortisol is the problem. Cortisol is there to send out signals to your body saying, hey, like there's perceived stress, or we have stress happening. And the problem is, you know, what's causing the stress. Same thing with, for instance, like with your estrogen, you know, when estrogen is problematic, it's not that she's the problem, it's that the environment that she's working in that is causing her to become problematic. So like I said, regulate blood sugar level, regulate your cortisol. And once again, you know, cortisol, I can't stress enough with how much this is so important, because even if you regulate your blood sugar, when your body has high levels of cortisol, it signals to your body that you need immediate source of fuel. Your body will not tap into fat for fuel. Your body will want glucose because it's your fast, immediate source of burning fuel. So your body, all the stored glucose it has, even after you've had a meal, even if it's like 3 hours after you had a meal and you're trying to do the whole intermittent fasting to like reduce inflammation, if you have stress, your body is going to release that cortisol, release the glucose to support the high levels of cortisol. So both go really well hand in hand. I talk a lot about this in my free masterclass, A Woman's Secret Code. So if you have not yet already grabbed that, I'll post a link down below. It's a great way to start, where you can really understand and learn the power of your hormonal cycle and the power of your food choices, and how it's impacting not just your energy and your radiance, but your ability to create, to sell, and to lead. Like I said, that's a 1-hour free masterclass. You get so much information from that. It's a great place to start. And then the third thing is estrogen clearance. You need proper estrogen clearance. So when it comes to estrogen clearance, you want to think about your gut as well as your liver. These two play a huge role in your body's ability to effectively clear estrogen. If your liver cannot keep up with clearing your clearing your hormones, it gets recycled back into your bloodstream, and that's where estrogen becomes problematic and just very chaotic in your system as well. Especially during perimenopause and especially during menopause, that's where you get a ton of the bloating, a lot of like the tenderness, a lot of the mood swings, a lot of the sleep disturbances, especially when it comes to like the hot flashes and the night sweats. So getting that under control is really essential for just all stages of life. Otherwise it comes up as like major PMS symptoms. And the thing too is there's so much like during the late luteal and then also during your period phase, there's so much during that time that is really going to set you up for success in your business. And if your body is just struggling in all the symptoms, then you can't fully tune into that and really, you know, have the full outcome that you could potentially have in a month with your business, if your body, like I said, is just struggling in all the hormonal symptoms. And then the other thing with the clearance is your gut. You know, maybe your liver is keeping up really, you know, beautifully, but if you have a lot of bad bacteria in your gut, if you have an imbalance of your good and your bad bacteria, that bad bacteria just takes the estrogen that your liver worked so hard to clear out and to break down, and it just reactivates it in a more toxic form, and that's where it starts to cycle back into your bloodstream, into your body, and that's where it becomes problematic. And like I said, all the hormonal chaos starts to take over. So there's so much that we can do to really prevent the hormonal chaos, and to really be able to just allow estrogen, just like I said, to drive your business, so that life feels really fun and effortless. One thing to keep in mind too is knowing your genetics is really, really beneficial when it comes to understanding your body's detoxification, because your genetic predispositions, whether you are undermethylated, whether you have slow COMT, whether you have an SOD2 gene predisposition, this is going to increase oxidative stress. This means that you need a ton more antioxidants just to kind of reduce the heat, to reduce the inflammation, so that your liver can properly detoxify. And this is why, like I said, when you know your genetic predispositions, you understand how your body is detoxifying or how it's not detoxifying. You understand what supplements, what herbs, or just what nutrients your body is really needing to be able to fully perform at its full capacity. So anyways, if you guys want information on genetics, that's something I'm more than happy to help you with. if you're not sure where to start, honestly, like I said, you can watch the free masterclass or just book a free discovery call. This is for women who are struggling with their energy. They don't know where to start. There's a ton of overwhelm, not understanding, you know, how to eat, or just like I said, where to start in general. We sit down during this call to really understand, take a look at your diet, your lifestyle, your stress levels, and really see what is holding you back, what's affecting your energy, your body's performance, your ability to fully show up in not just your life, but also in your business. And then we dive into seeing, you know, what your next step would be and what that would look like. Anyways, I am gonna leave it here at that. I'll be back here this week to talk about blood sugar regulation and specifically how that is impacting your hormones and how you can start just regulating your blood sugar so you can get your energy back and have more consistency, not just within your body and your health, but also with your business. Anyways, I will see you guys later this week. Bye for now.